Hey yo guys, welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you our final review of the Sin and Doom Volume 2 by Impending Doom. Alright, so I'm gonna kick this one off, and right off the bat, I'm just gonna be honest, and unfortunately, after listening to this album all week long, I gotta say that I was not feeling it. I just was not getting this album. It wasn't resonating with me as much as I hoped it would. There's a couple tracks that I did gravitate towards, and I'll talk about those tracks. Number one was the third track, War Music. I keep calling it War Machine. War Music. And this is a song I talked about in my first impressions as I gravitated towards that as well. But as far as the track goes itself, the only real thing that I particularly liked about it was the drumming. And I think the drumming on this album as a whole was the best part. The best part of this album was the drumming. Everything else really fell flat to me. I didn't like the riffs. The vocals are very, very basic and standard. The other track that I was gravitating towards is the last track, which Fish talked about on the last video, and that is Run For Your Life, She Calls. That track is probably the most stand-outish track. I shouldn't even say probably, it definitely is. It definitely has the most unique style, unique feel. It's just a really unique track for a deathcore song. It's definitely got a different kind of tempo to it. It's a lot slower, it's a lot more atmospheric, and it's still heavy and hardcore, but like you mentioned last week, when it gets to the choruses, which it kind of keeps going back to, obviously, the mood and the feeling of the song really changes, and I really like that diversity that it brings. The biggest downfall for this album, I find, is probably the vocals. You know, I'm a fan of deathcore. I like bands like Carnifex and Suicide Silence, Black Dahlia Murder, etc., etc., Whitechapel, whatever. All of the bands that I like typically have a dual vocal style where they have the low growl and the high scream. Impending Doom only does the low growl, which I'm not 100% opposed to, but these guys, this band is like, they're old school, man. These guys are like, they're one of the pioneers of deathcore. And for them to not have that diversity that much younger bands have, I think is a big downfall in this band. You know what, I'm interested to hear what you think, so let's hear it.
So I had a lot of conflicting opinions upon myself after listening to this album for 1 week, because I didn't feel like it was as much of a letdown as you feel, but I felt like this album wasn't really as special as I wanted it to be, because I mentioned last week that my favorite songs were the first track, The Wretched and Godless, and the last track, as you already talked about, and that didn't really change over the week. I still love both of those songs. I love how technical the drums are throughout the entire album. I agree with you, the drumming is fantastic on this album. I love how it sounds. I love, you know, you did get a little bit, as I mentioned last week, a little bit of Meshuggah influence, which I personally like, so it tickled my fancy there a little bit, but the last track I still think is incredible. Like the spacious atmosphere, as you said, is just so interesting, and it contrasts everything else on the album.
Yeah.
Which, you know, a lot of the songs on this album I felt had something individual about them. I could, you know, listen to Burn and be like, oh yeah, you know, that's where that happens, or listen to whatever song and notice something that's unique about it, but it's not something that's really jumping out at me. It's not something that's really like, oh shit, watch out for that song, something nuts happens in that one. It's just, oh yeah, that's the one with that in it. It's just the first song, which kind of gave like, this is how the album's gonna go, so it feels fresh that way. If it started with a different song, I feel like I would like that one the most, because a lot of the songs kind of, you know, go through the same kind of thing. It's just, I don't think it's bad. Like, I can put this album on and appreciate it. It's great for something to put on the background, at least I find. It's just the first and the last ones are the only ones that I'm gravitating towards being like, oh yeah, these ones are sick. And when they come on, oh shit, now it's going down. So this album, another thing I noted is that I really appreciate how there's a lot of guitar work in the background of each song. I think it happens in practically every song, or at least almost all of them. You'll hear a lot of guitar in the background, just maybe a little bit of noodling or just a little bit of stuff that fills a lot of space, and it does so much for the sound, and I think that's really cool. And I don't really hear that too much in other deathcore bands.
Is it synth though, or is it guitar? Because sometimes I was questioning it, because...
Might be both, because I do recall hearing parts where it definitely is guitar, but sometimes it, you know, I'm questioning myself. Is it really? But I still love how they do that throughout this album. It really adds a lot to the music, and it adds a lot to the space that the music creates.
Yeah, I've seen other deathcore bands do stuff like that too, so I wouldn't say that's anything new or unique, but it definitely does help the songs stand out a little more,
Yeah, and I agree with you about the vocals. Although I don't hate this guy's voice, I like it. It sounds good.
Oh, he's got a cool voice.
It's just one voice throughout the entire album. I think like maybe in the last track he kind of growls a little bit differently. It's a lot quieter. I think that to fit the song a little bit better.
Right.
But other than that, there's not much different coming from this guy's voice on the album, so that just kind of falls flat. It just it's like he does one thing. So it's a little bit iffy in that way, but I can still appreciate the musicianship of this album. Once again, especially the drumming. It sounds awesome. I love it. But yeah, so like I said, it was tough because I don't think this album's bad. I just think it's not really special aside from those two songs. And if there were more songs in this album like those first two, I think this album would be a lot better and would have grown a lot more. So it's iffy. It's iffy, but I guess, you know, why not get to ratings?
All right. As far as rating this album goes, like when I talk about it, I kind of just like I don't have much good to say about it, but that doesn't mean the album is not enjoyable. When I put it on, it's fine. It's not bad. It sounds good. It's good music to listen to. You know what I mean? It's enjoyable. It's good metal. I wouldn't tell somebody not to listen to it or not to check it out or anything like that. But what I'm doing is I'm kind of comparing it in my head to other similar bands and other similar styles of music and how much I like those more and how much those resonate with me. You know, like when I'm listening to this, I even put on a couple Whitechapel albums to just draw some comparisons because it's been a while since I've listened to some deathcore, so I'm like, why am I not digging this really? Like, what's wrong with this? So I put on Whitechapel and I'm like, oh man, this is like tenfold, way better than this Impending Doom album in almost every way. Then I put on some Carnifex. I'm like, yeah, like there's something here that's missing with this Impending Doom album. There's something that's missing. I personally think it's vocally. It could be something else, I'm not sure, maybe riffing wise. But that doesn't mean it's bad music. And I want to stress that it's not a bad album. It's just not a great album, and there's nothing that stands out. A lot of the songs blend in together. There's a couple small moments here and there where I'm like, oh, that freaking drum fill was sick. You know, that drum part was sick. It's all drumming on this album, it's the main focus. But anyways, blah, 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 fucking blah. My rating is a 4 out of 10. I don't know, it's a little less than middle to me. It just falls a little bit flat. Sorry, 4 out of 10, that's my rating.
All right, 4 out of 10 from you. For me, this album is enjoyable. I will stress that myself. This album, I can put it on and get through it and not be like, oh, it's too loud. But that being said, it's not something that I feel like a few months down the line I'll be like, fuck man, I gotta check this out again. I'll probably put it on one day and be like, hey, why not listen to something? So it's alright. I don't think it's amazing. That being said, it has a lot of good about it. It's just not super standing out to me. So I'm gonna give this one a 5.5 because I feel like it's very okay, but it has some things that jut it up a little bit to be neat. But I feel like it's a bit of a one-trick pony, as you know, after listening to it for 1 week, it's like, okay, there's not really much else that's gonna wow me from this album or continuously wow me. So I feel like it kind of just comes up short in that way. So it's a 4 from him, it's a 5.5 from me, and that's all we got here for you guys today. So let us know what you thought of this album after 1 week of its release in the comments below. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more metal content coming to you guys very soon. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
And we'll see you guys later.
Later.